Get ready, get ready. Cricket was already inputted it. They just have to press enter next.
Kohli must have said, I want this balance. I want the balance. Match is
No,
probably a
no, don't
2-1
say one
loss.
series. Be specific with numbers, okay?
You,
And listen,
yeah,
putting some pressure on you.
Steve Buckner, what the fuck, man?
you basically
Uh,
copied me. You copied me fully.
I don't care. I just don't want it to happen.
Hi guys, welcome back to All About Sports, the podcast. We are back again with another episode. You guys are joined by a regular host, Mazhar, Aniket, Rishabh, and myself, Shubham. But today's episode is a little different. It's a guest episode, and we have a special guest, Danesh Karnak. Danesh is an avid sports viewer, sports fan, sports enthusiast, and he has a lot of information and knowledge about cricket. So today's episode is going to be obviously we'll be discussing cricket, and we'll be using Danesh's expertise and his know-how about cricket to discuss the upcoming India-Australia series. The series is starting soon, and we'll be discussing a lot of things in terms of team selection, in terms of the players to watch out for, in terms of the past squads as compared to the present squad. So to start off with, Danesh, firstly, thank you for coming on our podcast. And to start off with, let's talk about the team selection. What do you think of the current squad that's been selected for Team India? There has been a little bit of controversy around Rohit Sharma, and obviously now Virat Kohli also will just play the first test and then he'll move out. What do you think of our squad in general in terms of the strength? And what do you like? Yeah, what are your thoughts on it basically?
First, to address the Rohit Sharma situation, I think now that's pretty clear. Yes, in the beginning it was done very weirdly because he was left out. But so the whole thing was that the Indian physio and the Mumbai Indians physio was the same person. So what had happened there was that he officially told BCCI that he's 70% fit, and it's a hamstring injury. So we've all had like everyone here knows what an hamstring injury is. It's something that a physio can tell you how bad or good it is, and you could make it worse. So in Rohit Sharma's case, they didn't come out clearly and tell us the whole thing. But today, Rohit Sharma came out and said himself that his hamstring wasn't good. He needed this break. He needed to not be part of the one-day white ball series, and he's going to be flying down for the test. So I think now it's pretty clear the way they did it initially. Even I was pretty shocked with the way they did it, but now both sides have come out and I think made it pretty clear. And with regards to now, with looking at Rohit Sharma, I think Ravi Shastri right now only have given them 4 or 5 days to fly to Australia, or else they are doubt for selection for the first test. So even Rohit Sharma is running a race against time. With regards to Kohli that you asked me, I think you can go on either sides of the fence for me. Like, as I can give you an example, Mohammad Siraj's father has passed away. He's here. Natarajan delivered a baby. Natarajan had his first baby. He continued on with the IPL. So I think it's where you're at life, where like I guess Kohli can do what he did, and I don't blame him completely for it because if you see our next year's schedule right now, it's packed. And if this biosecure bubble remains, I think it's too much pressure. It's too much pressure on any cricketer or any sportsman. So I don't think it's the worst thing, but it's going to affect India in the test matches big time. It's going to really affect them because I'm worried for the batting this time with him out.
Yeah, I totally agree with, and I kind of get that point of Indian cricketers play so much cricket, dude. Like BCCI finds a way in any break that they have, they'll fit in one IPL also. So, like the Indian cricketers play so much, and someone like you mentioned, like a Siraj, it's his first call up to the Indian cricket team. The flexibility to not take a series like that is probably low, or obviously his circumstances is extremely unfortunate.
Yeah.
Whereas Kohli, I think, has earned the right probably at this point in his career, having played so much and will continue to play so much next year as well, to maybe take a bit of a break. Yeah.
Also, one thing that you brought up very interestingly, and that's actually quite factual, considering the fact that Kohli will be out, and our batting lineup is not probably looking the strongest. Then we also have KL Rahul coming back in, who has not really had a very successful previous India-Australia series, where I believe he just got 57 runs in 5 innings. And now he's coming back in the squad, and most probably he will fill up the space that Kohli will be like, because he'll be leaving, so he will be coming in. So if we deep dive into it a little bit more in terms of India batting lineup, what do you think? Like, what do you think in terms of test? How do you see us going?
I'll give you the funny part first. Forget the batting. You tell me who's going to be the captain. Who's announced our test captain? Tell me that. Has anyone thought about that? Our captain hasn't been announced. Ajinkya Rahane has hit 100 or 200 in the last 2 or 3 years. He hit 100 just before the lockdown to save himself back, at least secure that number 5 spot of his. He doesn't perform in the first test match. Rohit Sharma has an average, or if Rohit Sharma has a very good test match, then do you make Rohit Sharma the captain and Ajinkya Rahane, who's been vice captain for 5 years now or so? What do you do with that? That's one question no one has raised, and it's just been playing on in my mind for the longest time. Who is captaining India? Because you can't have Ajinkya Rahane scoring 20 and 30 and going out there and talking banter with these Australians. They will bash him up. They will not let him bat in peace with the way they'll come at him. I know he's experienced, he's class. I have respect for him, but I am really scared who's going to captain India in the test matches. And
I
that's going to be a fun one to see.
So, Danish, I actually thought about this as well. And there was one name which properly came up to my mind. Sadly, his track record in recent times has been so bad, like in reputation wise at least, is Ravi Ashwin. He's by far still our main spin bowler in Test match cricket. He is a proven leader. He knows how to give it back. He definitely is infamous for that man-cutting incident, especially with Joss Butler. He's the only potential capable sort of leader, but he's not going to be captain, and we all know that. So
See,
that's
and
why even it's another
another reason I'll
question.
tell you why he's not going to be captain is because, see, if I think both teams are going to play 7 batsmen, 4 bowlers in the Test series, because to match with our bowlers, none of them give them batting except if you play Jadeja or you play Ashwin as a spinner. So my point is, you play 3 fast bowlers and 1 spinner, and again Ashwin doesn't have a good game. You have Kuldeep and you have Jadeja to decide who you want to bring in. So again if you're playing 1 spinner and you have 3 spinners, your captain has to be someone in Test match that is leading from the front, especially when you go to places like Australia, England. The captain needs to be in the right frame of zone because it's way more. In T20 one day, there's a lot of back end in Test match. You play a full day, gut feelings, confidence. I think plays a huge role in Test cricket.
No, that's a great point. And the funny thing is, so we have weirdly who at least at the domestic level a few people who've captained, right, either IPL or at the domestic level. You have Rohit, you have KL obviously for Kings 11, and then of course Rahane, who has some experience at the domestic level and has had experience captaining India when Kohli's been out as well. But that's a good point. I didn't think about it actually. Yeah, there isn't really a good replacement when Kohli heads out.
See, if Ajinkya hits a 50 or 100, this conversation is null and void. Because then
Yeah.
it'll be very easy and Shastri and everyone will breathe a sigh of relief saying, my God, we didn't have to have 3 captains in one series.
Yeah.
Because you make Ajinkya, he doesn't perform, and then you get forced to drop him, then it's terrible. Then you know where the series is going.
And I like that you brought that up because I know, see, 90% of our discussion will be, focused on the Indian team. One question I want to ask on the Australian team, similar question. Tim Paine as captain for Australia. I was looking at some of his numbers. He is like blatantly average at batting. He is averaging 30, 31. He's never scored a century in 50 innings in Tests. Would this guy be in the squad if not for the fact that he seems to be a decent captain? But if not for that, I don't know if he'd be in the squad. He's not a leading from the front guy.
Absolutely right. But as you said, he has couple of tasks, right? He wicket keeps and he's the top captain. So that's what's saving him from someone like Ajinkya. Ajinkya is an out and out number 5 batsman. He's not giving you bowling. He's not giving you anything else. You see just runs. Spain came and took over this Australian team when Smith and Warner had that whole incident, and he really at least kept their chins up. That last series against us, like Kohli was bullying them, he actually led them. I completely agree that that's not a reason he needs to stay in the team. But yeah, he also, like Ajinkya, had a couple of performances last year just about to again keep him in the squad and not raise an eyebrow about his position.
And Danish, sticking to what Rishabh just brought up in terms of Australia team selection. So this year in Australia, in the Australian team, we have Steve Smith and David Warner back, who weren't there in the previous series. So obviously that makes them a stronger team. What's your view on Australia's team selection and the fact that these 2 players have come back in the team? What's your take on it?
I think they're strong, man. They have all corners covered. They're at home. They need their 4 bowlers. Stark has not played IPL. That man's going to be raring to run in and bowl 15 overs in a day in Test match. Where our guys, I hope Ishant is there, because if you're playing 4 bowlers, you need guys that are going to bowl long spells. Cummins does that for fun. Stark is going to do that for fun. Here we have fit bowlers. I love our Indian bowling. It's never been as good as it is right now. But to match a fully rested Stark. And remember, the fast bowling unit for all the three formats is going to be more or less the same. India is going to have Shami and Bumrah playing all the game. These guys are not going to have Hazelwood playing probably only in the T20s, but Hazelwood's going to play with Stark and Cummins through the one days and test matches. So their bowling is set. They'll play Lyon in the one day. So you're basically playing their front four bowlers in the one days. You'll get that feel over there. I feel they're set. Australia's really set. India is going to have a tough. They're not going to win down under for sure. We draw. I think it's a big thing, especially with this whole Kohli thing. Someone needs to step up. I don't know who. Like Hanuman Vihari. If like for people watching, I was shocked he kept his place. He had to keep his place because on what grounds did you drop him? But man, this guy also has a big number 6 because look at the amount of openers he's taken in the test squad with Shubman Gill and stuff like that. I'm just going to give Hanuman Vihari one test if I was there. Like if I had to even start him if there was pressure, or I wouldn't mind putting in a Shubman Gill or someone at 6 because at the end of the day at 6, I don't mind having another opener there because many a times if your days are good, your top 5 bats about 70 overs and the number 6 quite a few times faces the new ball. So to have an opener there in test matches, I don't think makes any difference. So Hanuman Vihari also is like an Ajinkya Rahane for me, even in the worst case. But yeah, these two need to perform, really need to perform because otherwise I don't see how 4 bowlers and this Saha also not too much with the bat. He's had a beautiful end to the IPL, the best I've seen him bat in his life, according to me. But again, you go to Australia, these bouncy wickets, it's a different ball game. Rishabh Pant, again, average IPL, wicket keeping wise, Saha is probably one of the best glovemen currently in the world. So again, you probably have to pick Saha based on that and on the IPL form. And I hope he also performs with the bat. So that lower middle order is really scaring me for the test matches.
So, I mean, just to put it into context, we are scared about a lower middle order, right? But Australia is a team which historically has some of their bowlers put like a 80-run partnership, 90-run partnership.
We have
And
nothing.
it's immensely frustrating when Mitchell Stark is he's just going to stand there, hold his bat out, pace the ball he can, knock it around and just run the team down. It's not fun to watch. And Danesh just said it, we are skeptical about our lower middle order. Number 5, 6, 7, you don't know how it's going to go. And I'm sure, Nathan Lyon had more runs than KL Rahul in the last 2 down under. I think that is one of the most frustrating things about watching India play in Australia, that we cannot score. The lower from number 5 on, it's not fun to watch.
No, so I was just going to add that, you mentioned that our middle order is worrisome, but I'm just looking at it that it is worrisome because, firstly, none of them really have experience of playing in Australia. So that's the worst part. And the fact that they are inconsistent already is even more worrisome. So I think that's the most threatening thing. The one thing I do like about having Jadeja coming in as that number 7 is he is somewhat consistent. You know what you will get from Jadeja. You will get your 30 odd, 40 odd runs. He'll pinch runs around, and he's obviously more than handy with the ball. So, and Jadeja is someone who I don't think is affected by conditions. He can play on any wicket. He's proven it. He's successful in England. I think so. That slot should be taken by Jadeja, but then that brings us back to the point of what do we do with our bowling lineup then? Because there's no way we can't play 3 pacers. And Danesh, you're absolutely right. We definitely need Ishant Sharma fit. I do not trust Umesh Yadav with.
I don't even see.
spells.
Sorry, I don't see Umesh Yadav. I'd rather give my hand at Navdeep Saini. I'd give Navdeep Saini a debut. I'd give Navdeep Saini a debut.
100%. He has the pace. He's proven his mettle in the Ranji. Very consistent. Hits the slot. He's generally outside off. At least if you've watched his Ranji Trophy games, he's very, very good with line and length. And he bowls perfect Yorkers. We saw that in the IPL. So definitely. And with Kohli being there, I'm optimistic that might happen because of the Bangalore connect.
Yeah, he loves his Bangalore boys.
Yes.
How Shivam Dube has played for India, I'll never understand.
So one thing that it was very interesting what he brought up, Danish, is the skepticism with the middle order and obviously the captaincy issue that we're facing, and how the Australian team has all corners covered and they're looking very strong. So this brings me to the second question I'd like to discuss with you. Is you said everything that you've had to say about today's current team selection, but if we go back and compare the Indian teams of old and the Australian teams of old, what do you think? Where does India stand today in terms of how good the squad is, how good the depth is, how good the batsmen, bowlers are as compared to our historic teams? Let's see, like the 2003, 2004 team or the 2008 team. Any relations that you can see out there? Do you think we are better placed or we are worse off? What's your take out there?
So I keep Kohli in it. I don't take out Kohli from this team. I leave it there. For me, it's about, I would say, the batting of the 2003 2004 era, just because of that deadly middle order of Dravid, Tendulkar, Lakshman, and Ganguly. I would just tip it in that favor. But bowling, there's no comparison, man. Over there also, we used to go to Australia and tell Harbhajan and Kumble to take wickets. So there's no comparison in the bowling at all for me. We are fortunate. IPL has, this is the one great thing IPL has done. It's found us quality bowlers. It's given them a platform, not just Ranji Trophy dead wickets where they probably break their backs in no time and can't make it to the highest level. But yeah, man, like bowling wise, the fast bowling is the best I've ever seen. And that's where we have our chance. Because Shami's tail is up, Umrah's tail is up. They remain fit as ever. We have a chance in the test matches. Then only think the batting needs to help them. But whoever be the spinner is going to do a good job. I'm sure of that. We've got three quality spinners, even though Kuldeep's not had too much time. But at least he gives you that wrist spinning option. So any wicket that turns, you can bring in Kuldeep. But the problem again is none of those lower guys give you the batting. So yeah, coming back to the question, sorry, I would say that I would go with this team as a whole to Australia. But yeah, batting wise, obviously you take those Tendulkars and all, man. How can you not? Sehwag opening the batting there, like it was something else, man. And watching Sehwag, I remember I used to wake up at 6, 7 in the morning to watch him bat back in the day before school. And though there used to be Akash Chopra and him come out to bat. And my God, the poles that they were. One guy was 0 of 100, one guy was 100 of 10. And I used to be, wow, dude, just watch him bat. And Sehwag was something else, man. In these series where everything was bowlers are going to do this, that, he took it to another level. And then you had all the gods in the middle, the
The good
20s
thing,
gods.
the good thing is we have an Akash Chopra type in Cheteshwar Pujara. Now Cheteshwar is a lot better. I admittedly
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
getting a shit
That's
ton
your
of
Rahul Dravid. That's your Rahul Dravid. No, that's
That's
a
your Rahul.
perfect shot.
Dude,
Copy
but
paste Rahul Dravid.
even Dravid will run, bro. This guy doesn't
Yeah,
run.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
doesn't
yeah, yeah.
run.
And under the yo-yo system, he doesn't manage to run. There, Dravid used to run without that yo-yo test being involved.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a good comparison because I'm so excited that I can't remember the last time we have a bowler who's in like one or two bowlers would be considered in like the top five to 10 bowlers in the world. Both are pace bowlers. Shami and Bumrah are both killing it as fast bowlers. It's amazing to see. I want to ask, I don't know what y'all think about the new selection. So Siraj getting picked in the team. Is it largely off his IPL form? Is there something more behind his domestic performance that also led to this? What do you guys think about it?
Because I had really one thing. Since Shivam Dubey and Washington Sundar played so much cricket, I've just had my eyes on Bangalore, and that just before the IPL, the amount of backing Shivam Dubey and Washington Sundar, I still agree because he's like your next Ashwin. Everything is the same about them, more or less, and he gives you a little better batting, I would say, because he's already started earlier. But what Shivam Dubey did because Hardik Pandya was injured, I could not understand that. And then same thought came in my mind when Siraj got selected. And Siraj, for me, I saw you all speak last time and you all spoke about Dinda. And probably before that performance, for me, Siraj was competing with Dinda for that position. And I'm not being harsh. He had a couple of good games that 2 wickets maiden and that got him selected. It's he's a fast bowler. You can take him. You anyways taken literally the whole country's fast bowlers because if you all seen, they've taken Tyagi and all of them as net bowlers. So I guess Siraj, I don't see him get a game, to be honest. I don't see him get a game with the bowling that we have, but you never know. Because it's just 3 1 days, 3 T20. So I don't see too much rotation needing to happen.
Actually, Danish, that brings me back to one more person who I've never understood and I still fail to understand is Vijay Shankar. He's along the same boat again.
Same both.
I
Same.
just,
So
yeah,
I'll,
yeah.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. So India, after we found Hardik Pandya, so in the previous thing I wanted to say, if for me, I don't know, people have different perceptions of Hardik Pandya, and I know all of them, but I really think that guy has a bundle of talent. Man, he is gifted, and how I really saw him. I really still see him going with Ben Stokes, saying, "You're not just becoming this generation's all rounder. I want to be in it." I don't know why he's not bold. I don't know why Mumbai Indians haven't, or he hasn't come out and officially said when he wants to. That balance that you're talking to this Australia, when we travel to Australia or England, you play Hardik Pandya as your fourth seamer and you take out that Hanuman Vihari from the team and play him as a batsman. That's where you get five bowlers, you get a proper balanced team, and that is what I want Hardik Pandya. I just can't understand why he's not bowling it. Because he will give in Australia and England and South Africa, when you're traveling to these three places, Hardik Pandya will be a gem because he'll be that fourth seamer that will give a break to Bumrah, who's running in at and bowling a good hard 4 over spell and not making bowl a 6 over spell because you don't have options. And we don't even have a part-time bowler. Like these guys have Labuschagne and stuff like that who will bowl as the fifth bowler. We have literally no one in this batting that even turns their arm over to give that, like 2-3 overs before the new ball. So that's what scares me when you play just four bowlers. And same with the one days. If you come to the one days and T20, I am not a fan of five bowlers. If I was a captain, I was a coach, I need that six bowler, whether it's Kedar Jadhav also. But that is why Kedar Jadhav was in the team for so long. Because he did what Raina did.
No,
For
I,
the same role that Raina did.
Or,
But he,
or what
yeah.
Tendulkar and Sehwag did 5
Exactly.
overs.
Back in even Rohit Sharma, Kohli used to do it. I don't know, what's with the shoulder. I don't know. It's too much for these batsmen to bowl a couple of overs or remain fit and just when the team needs it.
I was just going to add to what Danish said, and I understand why Hardik wasn't picked. Obviously, lack of match fitness, all of that. He was away for so long. He hadn't played cricket only, so you can't put him into the test squad. But I do
Yeah.
see him filling in that role. I think the bowling thing also came down to the simple fact that Bombay had such a strong lineup, right? So they didn't need his overs, is what I'm trying to say. There could have been instances where he could have bowled and should have bowled, but then I guess Pollard just played so much cricket before that, and otherwise we never see Pollard bowl. So I think it was one of those. The other thing that I feel with Hardik is I don't like him bowling in one dayers. Firstly, he's very inconsistent because he bowls that juicy, good length delivery which gets smashed nowadays in limited overs cricket. But in tests, that line and length works, especially on wickets which do a lot. And he's got that decent pace. The ball sometimes it gets stuck on the track also with his pace because he's got a decent height at least. So I just wanted to add to that point that I do agree with Danish that I see Hardik maybe not at Stokes level yet. Batting wise, no doubt. He's got ample amounts of talent, and the way he bats, man, he looks like he was born to bat. He hits that ball so cleanly when he hits it. It's none of his sixes are less than 90 meters, and it's not even about being a hard hitter. It's just natural flow, and it's amazing. Very few people ever have had that sort of capability. The last I can remember from India probably is Sehwag only in terms
I'll
of
tell you.
actually being able to hit that ball like that. Dhoni is a different caliber again, so I don't think Dhoni fits into that criteria. But yeah, in terms of pure
So
natural hitting
let me
ability.
just tell you why I back Hardik Pandya so much. Because since we've grown up, I think we've seen all kinds of players come and be replaced with quality. So one player that we didn't watch also, and we didn't get India to see was Kapil Dev, and fast bowling all rounder, which is what Hardik Pandya gave us, and which is what I'll come back to why Vijay Shankar was in the team and why Shivam Dube were in the team. Because we realized the value of a fast bowling all rounder, which is why when Hardik Pandya got injured, Kohli must have said, I want this balance, I want the balance. They went with Vijay Shankar in the World Cup out of everything. It fell flat. And Shivam Dube was taken on all these tours just to because you're playing for Bangalore in a few months and the pandemic came. It looked even more stupid why Shivam Dube played for India. So yeah, that is why I back Hardik Pandya so much. Because if you have a fast bowling all rounder with all the spinners and we have spin bowling all rounders, so that's the only block we miss. Then you take us anywhere in the world. There's no way we can't be called challenging for that series. Because what IPL has given us, the talent we have, other countries would die to take so many of our batsmen that are not going to get a chance. So
So
if
Danish,
Hardik Pandya takes it, we're done for me.
so Danish, now let our viewers know one thing. Like obviously, you have definitely expressed a lot of concerns. about the current Indian team, the current squad traveling to Australia. But given the squad, who according to you are the players to look out for, or who do you think could be surprises, surprise packages? We have KL Rahul back in the team. He did not perform well last time. It's a big series for him. Maybe he could be a surprise package for us. What's
He
your
will.
general take in terms of like the players to look out for on both the sides? But largely, let's start off with focusing on India and then Australia.
So definitely KL Rahul will. There's no doubt to me because I see his position now automatically with this whole Kohli Rohit Sharma thing. There's no way that he can be left out because there's no space in the team. So automatically he will open with for me hopefully Dhawan in the one day T20s they can flip a coin and decide who opens with KL. But in the one days I want Dhawan there. I want to see Sanju Samson at five. I'm a little bored of Manish Pandey personally. I know what he can do. We can see what he's done on his best day. We've seen what he does on his worst day. We know he's top in the field. So, but I would want to see Sanju Samson at five. So for me, the one day team would be, if in that term, it would be um, Shikhar, KL, Kohli, Shreyas, Sanju Samson, Hardik Pandya six, Jadeja seven, um, Chahal eight, and then three fast bowlers with Shami, Bumrah, and whoever each, I think Saini or whoever gets the call up in the one days and the T20s. So that for me will be the core for both the series. I don't think
What do you think
that
of what do you
number
think of
five is.
Saini? What do you think of Saini, considering the fact that he had a pretty decent IPL and with his pace and how the Australian tacks are like pretty pacey and there's good bounce. What do you think? Like, don't you think he could perhaps be one key performer for India?
Yeah, he's quality. That's what I said. That's why I'm ready to if Ishant or any of the first three fast bowlers are not there. And I agree where someone said Umesh, you don't want to see him. Even I agree with you, but Umesh does well in these conditions where there is something that the wicket offers because his balls move around, they do something. But yeah, I would go with Saini. I would give him the heads up even in the one days and T20s. He performs well. I think if Ishant is not fit or Ishant's not fit for the first test, Saini can go with Bumrah and this one. That would be my selection.
Another question for you all is which is going to be the Aussie tailender who's first to hit a 50? Because there's always one guy who goes Pat Cummins, Lyon, once Agar did it, once Gillespie did it. So who is your bet on the first guy who we think, oh god, they're 200 for 7, we're set, and then they make the score 350 or 360? Who's your prediction for that guy?
Cummins
I
or
just feel like it's going to
Cummins.
happen. I think it's going to happen. Like, who does it? I don't care. I just don't want it to happen. I think it it is so frustrating when you think you have it in the bag. You need 2 or 3 wickets, and then you can start afresh. You can do whatever it is you plan to do with your batting, right? But no, these guys will absolutely tire you out, and they do it consistently every match. There's,
and that and
I've never seen that tail end collapse as fast as ours. That has never happened. I mean, not to my recollection.
No, and I think I think that's one thing I do like about Kohli as our Teps captain transitioning from Dhoni. I don't think he's necessarily elite at it just yet, but he is a little more aggressive. I feel with the tail, he really closes in on the field. He really puts in fast bowlers. He's
yeah.
aggressive, whereas I think Dhoni kind of stepped back a bit. So I do like that about Kohli as compared to Dhoni for Tests at least.
I
And
also think one Australian player, Will Pucovski, in the last I think 2 matches in the Sheffield Shield, he has hit 2 back-to-back double centuries, and highly likely that he'll make his Test debut against India. So I think that guy for the Australian team could be a player to look
Yeah,
out
so
for.
Shubham, one more record for them, right? Another debutant scoring a century against India. Get ready, get ready. Cricket was already inputted in, they just have to press enter next. That's it.
In fact, talking about records, if Kohli hits another century in an ODI game, he will equal Sachin's record of 9 centuries hit against Australia. And that's the most by any Indian batsman. But I'm not sure if he'll be playing ODI or what's going to be his status. But if he does that, then that's another record for Kohli.
Yeah, so no, I just actually wanted to share something now that we were talking about India, Australia, and making this comparison. And what's quite interesting is historically, if you just look at the record, the Border Gavaskar Trophy, ever since it was named the Border Gavaskar Trophy when India and Australia faced off, India have played Australia 6 times in Australia. we've been successful on two occasions. Once was, everyone remembers that infamous 2003-2004 series where Ganguly led us to a 1-all draw. Dravid had his double century, saved our asses on a couple of occasions in that series. Uh, the sad thing was the year after that, Dravid, who was captaining India, we ended up losing in India itself. But then, obviously, last year was our first ever win against Australia in Australia. But if you see historically, we're overall up in this Border Gavaskar Trophy at least. And yeah, so I just wanted to share that. And the surprising thing, right? That, we criticize India so much about not performing abroad, but it seems like no teams perform abroad anywhere.
And I think
So, yeah,
a couple, like two quick things. Like one thing is like let's don't forget that 2007 2008 series. That one test was BS. I don't like to blame umpiring decisions for losing a test, but that is the one test I will say we lost because of umpiring decisions purely. Steve Buckner, what the fuck, man? And then the second thing I want to say is
Legend.
the one thing that I think we now hold India to a standard of like an all-time great team, and that's I think where we've not taken the next step of winning everywhere. The team of Australia from 1998 to
Exactly.
2010 won everywhere, and that's what
Yeah.
we haven't seen from India or frankly any country currently. Which I agree with Mazhar. No country does that so far. But those are my only two quick points.
But anyways, moving on from this, Danish, what are your predictions for Test, ODI, and T20? Where do you see us finish? Do you see us winning anything? Will Test be a draw? Will it be a washout? Everything. What are your predictions?
White ball cricket with 6 games, 3-3. We'll win one of the series. I'd take a safe odd and say one we'll win for sure. We have a chance to win both with the white ball. Because I think playing so much IPL, our players are right, ready to go, if you get what I'm trying to say. They're in prime condition. So there's no excuses of that. These guys have started nets. They've gone decent. They've had decent time in Australia. So it's not that they've been thrown into the deep end from nowhere. So they'll take 1-2 games. So white ball cricket, one series for sure we win. Test matches probably a
Don't
2-1
say one
loss.
series. Be specific with numbers, okay?
Yeah.
And listen,
Yeah.
putting some pressure on you. Every single guest who's come on our podcast, they've got the prediction spot on, okay? So we want you to be spot on with the prediction.
Okay.
So I think test matches, you said the best we can expect, I think, is a draw, right? I think that
Yeah.
winning is
That
a
I'm
tough one.
clear on. That I'm clear on. Best we can expect is a draw, 2-1 loss. Probably my prediction for the
Okay.
test.
Yeah.
We probably win the T20s and probably lose the one day.
Okay. So
I
two
think
one-
we-
I don't believe we lose the one days, but like it'll be quite shocking we go there and win both the series because Australia is Australia at the end of the day. They aren't there to like come on.
Yeah, and
They've never taken it lying down ever,
Yeah.
and they won't this time either. They have their big guns back. I don't think it's going to be as convenient as people imagine it to be because we've had a lot of white ball practice in the last month and a half.
and I think one thing we have to keep in mind is like when they lost Steve Smith, they got a second Steve Smith. Like they somehow managed to like rebirth a
Exactly.
second guy in Manas, and now they basically have two Steve Smiths. And obviously Warner will be raring to go. He loves performing. I mean, he loves. I don't know if he loves playing against India, but he'll love going at the bowlers at the top of the order. So it'll be a tough series for sure.
Someone else give me a prediction. Join in
Okay,
with me.
I'll go
Shubham,
for it.
you
I'll
join
go
in. No,
for
no,
it.
I want Shubham to join in with me. First, let Shubham give me one. No.
I think
Let's hear
Test. I think Australia will win Test. I think ODI. I think ODI also Australia will win and T20 India should win. That is what I think.
You basically copied me. You copied me fully.
But that is what I think.
Fully you copied.
That is what I think.
No, but like full copy.
No,
So we
so
died.
I'm-
That's good.
I'm actually going to go slightly different. I'll predict the scores. I don't know how many ODIs are there. Sorry about that. But
3-3. 3-3.
okay,
3-3.
3-3. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. So then test matches, I think we'll win one test. We'll win in Adelaide,
2-1,
according
that's
to
all.
me. Historically, we've always done well there. I think that'll be our saving grace. Adelaide, Zindabad. I think that's one test we'll win. If at all we win, but I'm honestly I'm more on the fence of that. I think we'll end up losing the series, maybe 2-0, end up drawing the other two. ODIs, I think we'll win 2-1, and T20s, I think they'll win 2-1. So,
I'm
I mean, in terms of predictions, again, it's the same
Yeah,
as you guys,
yeah.
but
No, I
in
think you
terms of the
changed it up. No,
scores.
you changed up the white ball. You
I
Oh,
changed
right,
up
think
the
I
white
changed
ball.
it to
You said
yours,
we'll
I
win.
think.
ODI
Yeah,
India will
yeah.
win, where
yeah,
Danish and
yeah,
I predicted that
yeah,
it'll be the reverse.
yeah.
So then that's it, guys. That is basically our India-Australia series analysis. The predictions are out. Stay tuned for our next few podcasts. The previous podcast will be linked below. All our social media handles will be linked below. Thank you, Danish. Thank you so much for taking time out and
Thanks
sharing your
guys for
thoughts of
having me
yours.
here.
It was great that you shared all your insights and your views. And till then, keep watching all our previous episodes. Follow us on all our social media handles, and we'll see you guys again next week.
All right. Thanks, boys.
Bye.
Thanks, Danish.